1. Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to Ed Talk TV, Conversations Worth Having. I'm so excited that you're here. It's almost Friday. It's almost the weekend. Who is ready? I am, for one. Let me know in the comments. Even if you're watching the replay, be sure to pop into the comments. Today, we are going to carry on the conversation with a new guest about branding. We'll get to that here in just a few minutes. But first, we got to talk about random news. And before that, we got to talk about what this show's all about for those who are first timers. So for those who are joining us for the very first time, welcome. You found the right spot. We are a good, close-knit community, and we learn, we share, and we do the work. So part of that work is commenting and showing some emotions, right? It'd be great if you share it too, so then other people join our community here, but those are the main ones. As you can see, the comments are already blowing up. If you're here live, if you're tuning into the replay, awesome. You can still comment. You can still let people know who you are, what you do, and what brought you here. That's the fun one. I will tell you guys, being able to watch the comments come in both during live broadcasts and the replays are amazing because so many new people show up. I just saw one today that popped up, and I'm sorry I forget your name, so I can't call you out right now, but there was a comment from somebody who saw one of their friends shared this broadcast, and they discovered it, and they were like, yes, this is awesome, I'm showing up. I mean, I know a lot. That's kind of a lot for you. Back it up. That is a lot of you having that same story, which is awesome, right? Nikki says present. Sweet. See, for those who are new, when you come to the live broadcast, which is Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I know, 5 days, it's crazy. You get to get your comments put on the actual screen because I use my computer. There's Tammy. Hello, hello. We got Erica. Yes, and washing dishes. Oh, Erica, when you're done, I think I got a couple dishes downstairs still. Just saying. So anyway, Erica was one of our guests, by the way, recently, which was awesome. And speaking of guests, we're going to have one today. Before that, we'll get to random news. But back to what the show's about. We talk about business, tech, and the user experience. You will learn a lot, so take notes. Be sure that it's not notes that you have to turn into your boss. We've had people do that, right? We are an international hit show. We have a lot of UK viewers. Hello, hello. And it's just fun. We have a good time around here, and we bring on guests. So, and notice I say we a lot because this is you and me, like teamwork equals success here. I may have started this. My name might be on it, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. So that's why I say we're all part of this, and you guys comment, and it's awesome. At work again, but ready. Nice, Nikki. Nice. I love it. So that's a little bit about the show. You will notice that I put a pinned comment. I'm going to start doing that more so that way you guys have like a 1, 2, 3 hit list there. There's show details. If you go to edtalktv.com, that will have the details of the show, the guest request form if you would like to be a guest on the show to share what you know and to grow your audience. Also, it has all the equipment that I use as well as like the programs and all that stuff. There's also the official hashtag now, hashtag EdTalkTV. So if a cool quote comes up, because there are lots of them, and you want to use it, definitely use it. And then use the hashtag, even if it's on Facebook. I know Facebook's like weird about hashtags, but guess what? The fun part about it is when you go into the search and you just search for hashtag EdTalkTV, guess what comes up? This show. So, you don't have to get crazy with hashtags in general, but every once in a while it's fun to do, especially on Facebook. So let me get back to new comments. Hey, Mickey, welcome. Can I ask if you're something special lighting or just be natural? Oh, right now, it's all natural. It's all natural. We're talking about lighting, guys. The light is beautiful. If you're not in Northern California, sorry, I know we have really good weather right now, and it's beautiful, and I don't need any extra lights. I'm right in front of a window, so it's awesome. Great question there, Erica. So that's what we do around here. And where was I going with the rest of that stuff? So yes, so we bring on guests, we connect. If you've missed previous episodes, you can always find them over at edtalktv.com. There'll be a link there so you can see previous episodes, because there's a lot. We're on episode 29, I think it is now. Just crazy. It's so much fun. We have a blast, and yeah, we just hang out. And so that's what I have for you guys there. Also, just be sure to check that pinned comment even when you're scrolling through replay viewers. By the way, replay viewers, note the reason why I want you to comment is because you get to meet everyone who's live and everyone who shows up later too. That's the beauty of it. And even if it's just a simple hello, it still puts you out there, and it has you have a bigger, greater chance of being able to be discovered by somebody new if you make a comment. So that's why I love having you guys comment and talk. I just deleted that lighting comment because I sent it before I finished. No worries, Erica. I figured it out. Anyway, so random news before we bring on our guest today. By the way, if you weren't here yesterday, we had a special guest, Jazz, who helped us out with some branding. How many of you guys, even if you're watching the replay, how many of you, tell me in the comments, how many of you learned something new yesterday with the branding? Because I know I did, and I was right there like, okay, I gotta make notes. Like, let me put this on my Post-it, check, and we'll take a look and have that. So that was great. By the way, let me make sure to let you guys know that I use a program called Ecamm Live, which is awesome. It's for the desktop. Also, it ties in with Skype. Now, with Skype audio, sometimes it will fade in and out, but it shouldn't last too long. So it's not something I can control, unfortunately, but hopefully, whenever we bring on guests, hopefully it doesn't last too long. So I just like to put that out there because I know sometimes it will interrupt and it's like it loses audio, it goes really low. Hopefully it's only for a short few seconds, not for long periods. So just FYI for those who are concerned about that. So there's that. Okay, so let's get some random news before we end up going into our guest today. See, it's live. It's whatever happens, right? It's Thursday. We're all ready for the weekend. Who is ready for the weekend? I know I am. Okay, so how many of you guys, even if you're watching the replay, how many of you guys watch Netflix? You have a Netflix account and you watch Netflix. Most importantly, how many of you have ever binge watched on Netflix? And you can say your favorite title too, by the way, if you want. Share it in the comments. Because here's the thing. If you share what you have binge watched lately, you might discover somebody else likes that episode or they're looking for that. So there you go, conversation, right? So go ahead and pop that into the comments. While you do, did you know that you can actually now, and this might have been around for a while, but it's now just coming to light, you can actually look at your Netflix account from a desktop computer and see what your original binge watch episode was. So you can see what you first started watching. Now, I don't know. I haven't checked it yet because I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to know that. I don't know. You know, my Netflix account is all weird. So too many to list, right, Erica? So if you wanted to find out what the very first binge watch episodes that you did, you can actually go to your Netflix account. NCIS, yeah. I remember I used to watch that all the time too. NCIS, CSI. Fun fact, part of random news, I actually wanted to do the whole CSI thing, criminal investigation stuff. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, let me do that. And so when I went to college, that's where I first started with that. And after the first semester, I was like, yeah, this is not what I wanted. Not going that route. Bye. So needless to say, I stuck with communications and journalism and sales and marketing. So it worked out, right? So anyway, if you wanted to, there is a way to go through. You have to go through your Netflix account from a computer, and then you go to your profile section and you click on the viewing activity link. Oh yeah, Nikki, Scandal's a big one. That's definitely a big one. Which, tonight's Thursday night. There you guys go. I'm glad that we're not on at the same time because you guys would not be here. You can see me doing forensics. Yeah, I thought it was something I wanted to do, Mickey, but after one semester, I was like, yeah, that's too much in the books for me, so no. But thank you. So if you want to check out your Netflix, you can go to your account from your computer. I don't think you can do this from the phone. It just talks about the computer. And go to your profile section, click on the quote viewing activity link, and if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see your very first one. If you go do that, it'd be fun for you to drop it in the comments here later and let us know what it was, just for fun. So, all right, today we're going to talk about branding again, and we have a new guest that I can't wait to bring on, and I'm going to go ahead and call her. This is the fun part of the show. Well, the whole thing's fun, right? I mean, we get to hang out and enjoy each other's company. But I'm going to go ahead and plug in, and then I'm actually going to switch my screen over and give our guest a call, and then we'll go from there. So let me go ahead and get that started here. Do you guys ever hear this, like the music that rings for Skype? Maybe not. Maybe it's just me. I like to just move around. Let's see if it works. Sometimes it can be a little glitchy. And I wish I could change that. Hello, hello.
Hello. How are you?
There we go. I'm great now that everything's working. I love that.
Sure, why not?
Yes. So welcome to the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone watching, even our replay viewers.
Absolutely. I'm Tammy Fink, and I'm with the Brand Champion Academy, and I've been doing this for about 20 years. I've been unemployable since 2004, but I've worked with a lot of different clients. I've worked with some national brands. I've worked with Cinnabon and Hershey's and Hewlett-Packard. I've done some crazy projects with Mighty Mouse. That's going to date me right there. And I've even done some stuff. We created some product for Wicked Tuna, which is a reality show. We actually got to work, and we've got some of our packaging that got put into Costco on a trial basis to kind of work through some tuna patties and things like that. So I've had a really wide experience, with everything that we've done, and I'm working now on doing more and more online products.
Nice. That is really cool. Okay, so you guys, even if you're watching the replay, that right there was a lot. Like, that's really cool to have that variety going on. And so, kind of before we dive into the whole branding thing, let's find out a little bit more of how did you find your groove there, and how did you kind of go through the process of having a nice variety to choose from there, because that's great to be able to go that way.
Yeah, and it's a little bit different, I think, because I don't jump in and just have one thing that I specialize in.
Yeah.
I have a wide variety. Like I said, I've worked with a lot of clients. I've worked with marketing agencies and web development companies and print shops, and I've just had my hands in a little bit of everything over the years. I've done since 2004, I've done over 2,500 projects.
Wow.
We've kept track of those. That's a lot of projects. And so it's everything from logo design to doing trade show booths to doing websites, just a little bit of anything and everything. And I think that, during my graphic design period there, I think a lot of it was just being flexible and learning what was going to work for the client. So I think that's been a big thing. But with the Brand Champion Academy, and that's something that we've just kind of made it a pivot the last couple of years, we've been working on online product and really getting into working with everyday entrepreneurs and turning them into brand champions. And we want them to be the champions of their own brand. And we've got a system to make that happen.
I love that. And that quote that you said, I just put it in the comments, you guys, learning what works for the client. That is huge. It's what we talk about a lot. Is we have to put ourselves in the client's shoes and not think, oh, what we want or what we like, but what works for them and what are they thinking.
And I can take it one step further with you, Ed. I know, like I said, we're going to be talking about branding, and that's what we're excited to be bringing tonight. But I'll tell you one of the things that I see more people, more mistakes made, and even on the graphic designer side of it, or the branding strategist, or, just with entrepreneurs in general, is that you get so caught up in the dream of what you want the brand to be that you forget one crucial thing. And that is the whole point of your brand is to attract your ideal customers.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. And so as you're kind of working through that, about, that your favorite color and all of this, and you're absolutely right. There's a small portion of it that you want to be able to portray, yourself and your dream and your brand, but there's a bigger part of it that people just miss out on when they stop thinking about what does my customer want? What does my customer expect?
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And Michael says hello.
Hey!
I'm able to see comments as they pop up, and then I can put them on the screen, which is easier than having you look around at the comments and stuff. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that'll be helpful.
I dropped those in there. So that's look, we got our own mugs. I love it.
We do.
That is awesome. And thank you, Mickey. That's a great quote. She put, quote, taking everyday entrepreneurs and turning them into brand champions, quote, hashtag EdTalkTV. I love it. So awesome. Okay, perfect. So let's jump in and kind of, walk us through some of the things that you do and that you see, and then let's get into the three things that we really should be paying attention to.
Well, I think for me, some of the stuff that I'm doing right now in the middle of it is I'm working just like everybody else into being seen online, being contributing to other people's groups and trying to work through that, which I think is that's the next step in the whole branding procedure, is really getting out there, and especially with the Facebook new algorithms and all of that, it's really going to be about taking that extra step and doing those extra little things for your brand.
Yep.
And I think that, no matter what you're selling, if you've got a product on Etsy, or if you've got, if you're just doing a virtual, maybe an online course, or you're an entrepreneur where you're selling services. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We all have some of the same type problems and issues when we kind of go through. And I think that, there's a lot of stuff that I see out in the world right now where people are trying to figure out, what is going to represent their brand. Where do they start? What does that look like? Do they go out and buy a bunch of business cards? They talked a little bit about business cards last night. And I'll tell you, I've got a lot of customers, with business cards and stuff. We do a lot of designing. I do a lot of printing of business cards, and it's still a thing. It's not, I know that there's a digital, version of it, but a lot of times it's where you're going to be seen. If you never leave your house, you don't need a business card. There's not a thing I can do for you with that. But if you're out doing networking, if you're out doing trade shows and stuff where you're touching base with clients, not just with your peers, but with actual clients or potential clients, you need to have business cards.
Yeah.
But there's a whole step, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, no problem.
Whole step of where you really need to start from the very beginning. When you're thinking about what you're going to call your company and what product you're going to have and all of that, you really have to factor in a lot of what is going to be part of your brand before you even put pencil to paper. Before you even hire a designer or do it yourself, there's a lot of components that you really need to do up front. And I know you guys have talked a lot about that too.
Yeah. And you bring up a great point about the business cards, and I'll touch on that real quick too, is even if you guys are watching the replay, let us know, do you guys have business cards already? Pop that into the comments, even if you're watching the replay. But Tammy brought up a great point that it really depends on you. What are you doing? Where are you going? Like I said yesterday, for me, mostly I'm all online. At this point, I'm not going to these big events. I'm not doing these things where I need to hand out a physical business card. So for me, a digital one works. And then if I do want to go to these events, then I'm probably going to order a small batch of these cards just to have on hand. But, it just depends on who you are and what you're doing with that. So I like that you brought that point up.
And there's lots of ways of being able to even utilize business cards. I mean, I've got, when you go to a trade show, you'll come back with a stack of business cards of other people. I mean, you're going to pick those up somewhere. I love the scanning capabilities on the phones now that you can scan business cards on your phone and have it digital. But it's not quite there. The technology isn't quite there where And if it is, it's kind of still expensive, I think, to have that where it actually converts over and puts it into your contact list where you can actually use it.
Sure.
It's just a way not to have to carry around the business card. So you have to type stuff in. There's a lot of ways to be able to utilize those cards. I've had a client that does stickers, little decals that they actually put on their business cards that says, I met you at this trade show, and give the trade show name on it, so that when you get home with that big stack of cards, you've got someplace, to be able to remember, oh, that's where I met that person, that's where I got that from. And if not, just take notes and stuff when you use it.
Yes, and okay, so that, you guys, I want to point that out, that's a really smart thing to do, and that's a way to stand out, right? We talk about standing out a lot, and that is something to note, that something simple like that, adding a sticker or whatever you can, I don't have it in front of me, but I had, in our area, this was an event, it's not business related, but it was a big event, Bottle Rock, a big music event in the summertime. And what was cool is Jim Beam, the alcohol there, was there promoting whatever new apple whiskey they had. Anyway, it was hot. The point is that it was hot weather, and of course they're giving out these awesome little fans that plug into the bottom of your phone, and you can walk around the event like this. It says Jim Beam on it. Nobody else had the fans. They also not only worked for iPhone, but they had the Android clip as well. So it didn't matter what phone you had, you could still use it. It was genius.
That's awesome.
It was genius.
I love that.
This is the best. They knew their market. They knew that it was going to be hot. They knew that they were going to stand out. And it was green because they were promoting the Apple. I mean, those are the things that you guys want to think about wherever you're going. How are you going to stand out? And when you go to these trade shows, think about what other people are doing. Like, I don't go to many, but the ones that I do go to for clients or whoever, I scan the room. I'm looking at what's out there, seeing what people are using, So yeah, that's a big one. That's a really big one.
And I know, so we kind of talked about, let me pull up some of my notes here. I know we wanted to talk about maybe the top three, some of the top three brand tips and stuff too. I want to say first, when we start off with this, there's basically three levels that we like to try to go through. The first one is what you think would be branding, but it's really not. It's actually the getting to know your customer. And the first part of that, and I'll tell you, I'll introduce you to my ideal customer.
Yeah. I love it.
And I'll tell you what, it's one of those things that you kind of go through and figure out who your ideal customer is. It's not that hard. It's not that difficult. People want to make it, maybe they're starting off, they don't know who their customer is going to be. They want to go out and say, my customer's whoever walks through the door, or my customer's whoever comes to my website.
Yep.
And that's fine, and you can certainly serve those people. But you need to be looking for, if you don't have a customer yet, you just need to create one. Like I said, pick up your Mr. Potato Head, whatever, that way you're going to basically build the components of what your ideal customer is going to be. Sure. It's not rocket science. It's not absolute. It's one of those things where you need to take a look at some demographics and figure out who they are. But when you get ready to start branding and you get ready to start marketing, that's going to be your person who you talk to. And it can be a made up person, fictitious, or it can be somebody who you've worked with before.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, figure out who it is you love to work for. Yeah. And you would work for them for free. I mean, you love them that much that you would work for them for free, and that can be the start of your ideal customer base. You can start working through that, and as you're branding, as you're putting together, that's kind of your touchstone. So you don't necessarily have to put so much emphasis on what your brother-in-law thinks or what your mom thinks or what, all of this goes. You can kind of put all this together where this is something that you are doing intentionally.
Yeah.
And you are coming up with where you want to know where your customers are hanging out. You want to know the types of customers with that. Those are the customers that you're going to attract. I had a client who was an accountant, and she was telling me that she just particularly did not like working for real estate agents. Yeah. But she was attracting real estate agents. and she couldn't figure out. She was getting calls from a lot of real estate agents, and she just couldn't figure out what the deal was. So we jumped on and did a branding audit and started going through her stuff. She had a whole page on her website that showed samples
Oh, no.
from real estate agents.
Yep.
So that's who she was attracting. You know, she had done a few jobs, but she just didn't like working. So you have to really, I mean, it's an important thing as to who you want to work for. You're not always going to get your ideal client.
Sure.
But when you start branding and you start marketing, it's going to be less expensive to be marketing to that one person. Doesn't mean you can't serve everybody, but you have to have a starting point, because that's the beginning of everything. I mean, that's where you're going to build. Everything that you do is going to be based on that particular demographic.
Yeah, no, and that's huge. And I love the fact that you have Mrs. Potato Head there, because it's cool, because I like to relate things to real life. You know, that's like when I build websites, I relate it to a home and how you can rent a place or you can buy a place, you know, so that way we can be realistic about it. And so being able to see the Mrs. Potato Head, that instantly clicks for me, where I was like, oh, well, if anybody watching, even replay viewers, is having a hard time writing out on with pen and paper who your ideal client is, you know, because sometimes we need to see something. We need to visualize it. Like, if you really need something, you can pick up a toy. You can, look at the characters online, browse Amazon or whatever, and see what characters reaches out to you. I don't know. That just came to me, so I just want to put that out there.
Well, it's that whole artistic side thing, and it is some way different to look at it, because I think people get caught up a lot with the demographics, and some of these have these manifestos that are 40 pages long. You know everything about your client, and I think that's good. But I think when you're starting off, you're afraid to pinpoint that ideal client, because you're afraid you're going to get it wrong. Yep. And that was kind of the whole point with the Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. You're not going to get it wrong. You may have to pivot. You may have to adjust. As you kind of move forward, you're going to learn, but you have to have a starting jumping off point, and it doesn't have to be so serious. It can be fun. It can be lighthearted. Figure out who this person is. And like I said, as you kind of go through with it, my ideal client, her name's Michelle, and she's got 3 daughters, and her husband works outside the home, and she's building an in-home business, and so, I mean, there's just so much of that kind of thing that it doesn't mean that's all my clients, right. That may not be a third of them, but it's something that I can have a touch point to say, is this going to attract this person? Is this going to attract this person to me, or am I going to repel this person based on some of my branding decisions? And I think, like I said, you just have to really figure, who are you selling to? That is what you have to kind of jump into and look at it. Sure. And I think the second thing that I would go for, and you can tell, like on my website, we talk a lot about the pinky promise. Another fun kid thing. It doesn't have to be so hard. The pinky promise, you can remember when you were, a young kid, and, you and your best friend sat out and you had, the little pinky promise that you did that just basically said, this is the way that this is going to be. We'll be friends. We're going to work through this. Well, with the brand champion and coming and living through that part of it, what we're looking for is basically the touch point. This is your promise to your customer that everything's going to be consistent. It's going to to your standards every single time they come in touch with your brand. And most people, you don't think about it, but even from the little parts all the way through customer service, and that's really bigger than, in the whole branding thing, besides just the visual part. I mean, I love the visual part. That's the fun part. But a lot of this is just depending on how people are affected by your customer service, or, even if it's just you still deliver customer service. And I'll tell you, one of the biggest things, and I don't address this very often, when you work for somebody else, you could not love what you do. I've had jobs, say it in the comments, you've had jobs that you just didn't love.
Yep.
I will tell you, you better love what you're doing when you own your own business, because it is so hard to be authentic, to be caring, to be passionate about something that you really don't care about. And if you're just in it for the money and you're just into that part of it, it's going to show through.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to get tired. It's hard to run a business. You're going to get tired. You're going to get wore out. I always thought, when I was in my 9 to 5 and dreaming about having my own company, I thought, oh, I'll sleep till noon every day and I won't have to do this and I won't have to do that. And it's just not like that.
Nope. Yeah.
You got to believe, my hardest thing is shutting down, is shutting off and knowing when to say I've had enough for the day. And I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs say that. But back to, loving what you do, when you love what it is that you do, you have the passion for it, and it doesn't seem like work, And so I know that there's famous sayings that it just, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life, because it's all fun, and games. There's a lot of hard stuff. There's a lot of stuff we don't like doing, but for the most part, we're into it for what we love, and that is a big part of your brand. And you really need about that and how that is coming across to your customer, and is that part of the customer experience when they work with you?
Yeah, and that's a huge part. You guys, even watching the replay, definitely share your insights on this in comments, but that's a big one, is that customer service. If you want to stand out today more than any other day in the world, like, if that even makes sense, but you know what I mean? It's like today more so
Absolutely.
Than ever before, you can stand out if you have good customer service. The bar for customer service has been so low for so long that it's not very hard for you to provide good customer service. You should be providing excellent customer service, but let's get you to at least good, and you're going to stand out amongst the whole crowd. Like, everyone's going to want to work with you
Absolutely.
Just because of that.
Absolutely. And, going into your brand, is you want to keep that consistent through, every person that's in your business. And whether it's just you or whether or not you have a tribe, whether or not you have a virtual assistant, all of that, you want to be sure that you understand what your brand means to your customer, and you want to be sure and reward that. There's so many different ways that you can do that through your branding. And there's, are you giving gifts? We just got through Christmas. We got Valentine's Day coming up. Are you giving your customers, is there something extra that you can do for your customer that just offers them a little piece, a little piece of you, a little touch of the brand as they kind of go forward? And it can be everything, handwritten cards.
Sure.
That's like a thing like nobody does. But we've sent out cards and stuff. We've sent out pins with our name on them and things like that are just fun little extra pieces that we can have for the client. We have t-shirts that we have printed out, and a lot of times, if they buy a product, we send them a t-shirt. It's not expensive to have that stuff done, and so there's a lot of those little touch points that you can do, but it's the consistency, and I think that's my third one.
Yeah.
The consistency of your brand through all of your social media, and what we do, I think, as entrepreneurs when we first get started, we get one little piece here, and we get that done, and we forget about it. We go on and we do this other little piece, and then we do this other little piece, and before you know, you've got 5 or 6 touch points that don't look anything alike because you've had them over 2 years worth of time, and you just haven't, you bought those business cards for that little one thing that you did, but you never went back and looked at them. Are they consistent with the brand? So I think a lot of us, even if you've been in the world a while, and you're not doing new stuff, you need to pull out your branding components and look at them every so often. You need to be sure that, are your brochures up to date? Are your, do they have the new logo on it? Do they have the things that you need to do as you move forward and stuff that's going to take your brand to the next level? You may already have a lot of the pieces and parts. It may just be shining them up, and presenting them, dusting them off a little bit and presenting them better.
And that's a key point that I want to point out here, you guys, even watching the replay. How many of you have your brand labeled somewhere? Like, you have a PDF, you have an image, whatever. Like, if you have one, let us know in the comments. If not, you can still say no, not yet. That's fine. But that's a big one because we talk about websites all the time, right? And how you need to make sure your information's up to date and that it's a living, breathing document, that it's constantly changing with you. It's never perfect. And you have to make note of those pages that have those documents, those photos, because if you change your brand or you make any kind of update, you want to make sure that you can easily go find them and replace them, or have your assistant at that time or whoever do that, right?
Right.
But that's a big one. I love this. Mickey says, quote, revisit your branding ever so often. Yes. Mickey's always with the good quotes. I love that.
She's good.
And so, yeah, so there's that part. And I also want to know, too, from you guys watching, even replay viewers, how many of you have given your clients a gift? It could be a t-shirt. It could be a handwritten note. Like, I'm just curious. If you have, awesome, let us know and be specific. Let us know, because there's always room for opportunities for that. And that ties in with that customer service. And, not everyone can, if you're just starting out, that might be an expense that you can't factor in right now, but that's something you can put on the someday maybe list and be able to go through from that. Hey, Dan. Dan says hello.
Hey, Dan. You can go through, business cards, and I know we're back on the business cards again, but, business cards are so inexpensive.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a really good tip on this that people miss, and I see this all the time. Here's a couple of business cards and stuff that I got this week from a couple of people that had some chiropractic stuff, some different things this way. These are great business cards, but you know what? They're only doing half the job because they left the backside blank.
Yep.
You've already paid for this. You can put things on the backside where you can utilize, appointment cards, reminders, notes about the customers, notes that you want to send with the customers and stuff on that. But you can put all sorts of different product photos. I've seen great product photos
Smart.
used on the back of the card where it has some of that. It needs to bring something to it, but it's so inexpensive to do that second side, you don't even think about it.
Sure.
It's just something that you just get. But you can utilize those as little mini product catalogs, if you will, for specific things. And you can have, 100 of each product done on their own cards. And another thing is sending those along with the product. If you have an actual physical product that you send out through Etsy
Yes.
or whatever creative line, put a business card in there because you're missing an opportunity. You're paying for the shipping, they're going through that anyway. You need to have that opportunity where they can remember 6 months from now where they got that one deal. And if you have the picture of the product or that same style of product, then that's going to allow them to both remember it and pass it off to maybe another customer or another friend who's looking for a gift.
Yes.
Right?
That is huge. You guys, even if you're watching the replay, hopefully you're hearting that up. Well, you can't see me pointing to the heart, but hearting it up and sharing in the comments. But yes, that's so big, and people are agreeing, yes, with the double side, taking that opportunity, because it's real estate, you guys. That's real estate that you can use. It goes back to even when we talked at the beginning about going to these trade shows and having a sticker based off of that trade show. There you go. There's so much room for opportunity there.
Right, and it's inexpensive. It's not like that you're, buying a vehicle wrap to wrap your car with, or, there's some expensive stuff out there. And if you change your brand, you really, I have a thing that I have a whole book about, not treating your logo like it's an accessory. And so many times we do that, where it's just this other thing. I know I've got to have it, but I don't know why I have to have it, and I don't know how important it is. But, if I tell you, we all get up and we put on our shoes. We know they're important, to put on our shoes. But what if I would tell you in the morning that whatever pair of shoes, you can have any shoes in the world that you want, but you only get one pair of shoes and you have to last for 10 years.
Oh.
That changes things up a bit. Do you go to Walmart and buy those shoes? Do you, do you have your brother-in-law make those shoes? Because he made shoes one time, and he knows what he's doing.
Right.
Or do you afford the best that you can afford?
Yeah.
Whatever that is. You don't have to have necessarily the Lamborghini if you can't afford it. But whatever this is, it's important on your logo for you to make the investment, at least put what you can afford into your logo, because it is something that's going to represent your brand for the next 10 years.
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. And, again, you guys, it makes sense, right? And you can share in the comments, but it makes sense when you think about it that way, relating to the shoes. Let's face it, we'll get, whatever shoes we want, because shoes can be so cheap and they can be so expensive. And, you get what works for your budget, but you also get what works for your weather and your feet and all of that, right? But think about that. Use that the next time you're thinking about something for your business, and understand that, again, like Tammy said, you don't have to, if you can't afford the Lamborghini, don't get the Lamborghini. Don't try to make that work. Figure out what can work for now, but remember to make note that you need to work on that later, or, fine tune it, add it. Because here's the thing, you guys, business, you're constantly changing. I'm in year 3 officially of doing my own business by myself on the without having a 9 to 5. Like before, I would work other jobs as well, but this is like literally the full-time job. It's so much fun, and I will tell you, like right now, it's like wow, things are finally like clicking. I've been fine tuning, and trust me, there's still a lot more to fine tune. It's not close to being done. I don't think it ever is, but
no, it's not.
You're constantly fine tuning things, and then you realize as you go along, because you have to start, right? You have to start somewhere.
Right.
And once you start, you figure out what you like and what you don't like. And like going back to, figuring out your ideal customer, I'll tell you guys, when I first started, I offered social media scheduling, basically like helping people with, coming up with a post and then scheduling it for them. I did that for maybe a summer or so. I don't even know how long. It didn't last very long because to me, it felt like busy work. It felt like I was doing busy work, and I didn't like that. I could do my own social media, no problem. I can give you recommendations. I can help you with strategy. But for me to sit there and like, do you want this? Can I approve this? Can I push this? Like, no, that was not me. I'm about the strategy. I'm not about the posting with all of that, So I realized that's something I don't want to offer. And you just keep going through those motions and you figure out what works and what doesn't.
And that's some of the most important part of this is you fail forward, you hear them say that. But it's all about learning. It's all about putting it together. Figure out what you don't want. I've gone to trade shows. I've gone to speaking engagements and stuff that way and come out of it thinking to come out with one thing. And I totally turned around and came out with something completely different that I wasn't even expecting. Maybe it was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this with my clients. I don't want to put that together. But, it's kind of one of those things that you kind of start developing what it is you do want to do. To spend a lot of time. I know I worked way harder for myself than I've ever worked for anybody else. Because it's just that's part of it.
Oh, yeah.
That is part of building this, and so part of being the brand champion and why we chose that.
Yeah.
Besides that is because you have to understand that this is your brand. This is everything. You have to have everyone championing your brand. It's not just you. Yeah. It can be, your marketing people. It can be whatever. But everybody needs to understand what it is that your brand brings to the table. And now in this day and age, more than ever, everything's, tied to a cause or tied to a reason.
Sure.
You look at shoes or whatever that does, buy one and they send one.
Yep.
All of the different things that way. Everybody has something that they do that they offer that's a bigger part of their branding and stuff with that. If you don't, like I said, it makes it easier for you to champion your brand where you understand, know where your logo is. I mean, it can be simple. Know where your logo is. If you have one, if you spent the money on it, I know how many people that I've gotten that to be online. They never were going to do a trade show, and then next thing you know, they're wanting to do a booth,
yep.
And have a banner made, but they don't know where their logo is. It may be with the sign guy.
Yeah.
They don't really remember or anything about that. They don't hold it together. It's an important part of all of your pieces, and you don't want to have to pay to somebody to rebuild them. And if you do, I do that all the time. People will have a web developer develop a logo that's fine for online, but then I've got to recreate it in Vector before we send it on and have it blown up for a trade show that they never thought that they would ever go to. Right. So think bigger about your business, not just what it is today, but what it could be, and make plans for that 3, 5 year, 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Make plans for where you're going to be and at least know where your logo is.
And I love that you point that out. You guys, even if you're watching the replay, I love that Tammy points this out, because here's what happens, and I see this a lot with websites, and why I try to educate people on the different website options and why you need to think bigger, because you may start out with the free WordPress.com. Sure, that's fine. Like if that's where you want to start, that's fine. But if you already know that your intent is to go big and you want to add all these things to it, like a store, or you just really want to be free to add some of these cool plugins. They're like apps on your phone if you don't know what a plugin is. Like you can't do that with a WordPress.com. And so you start with that, right? Because it was free and it was there. But then now you realize that you've grown and that this is better over here, which this being WordPress.org. And then you have to figure out, well, what about the stuff I already built over here? Here on .com. How am I going to get it here to .org? And now I'm going to have to pay somebody to help with that, or basically recreate that. And, there are all these things. So obviously you have to go with what works in your budget. Obviously that's the name of the game. Like, totally get it. I'm not knocking that. I'm not saying that you can't do that. But what I want you to understand is think bigger and understand you may be starting out as just a hobby / side business right now. But what happens if it blows up tomorrow? What happens if you actually decide that you like this and you want to keep doing it? So we're just planting the seeds for you guys to understand and kind of be that voice of, hey, what if, think about that.
Hey, and if we have any questions and stuff, I don't know if we've done anything in the group. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to jump with that. And I do want to I've got a hot tip that I picked up this week that I'm just dying to share with you. I want to do that too before we get off here.
Yes, yeah. So if you guys, even if you're watching the replay, you can still comment and ask questions. But if anybody live has questions, please pop them into the comments. I'm going to read what Mickey wrote of the quote, because this is another great one. Think bigger about your business, not just where it is, but where it could be. #EdTalkTV from Tammy. I love that. And if you guys notice, that's the beauty of, and of course, if you can't join live, that's fine. You can always join the replay. But notice how when you comment, you get exposure, right? You're providing insight not only within the comments for everyone else to see, but if you're joining live, of course, I can then pop that on the screen and then you're getting exposure. So that's the whole point of joining the conversation and being active, because that's the whole point of standing out online, or that's how you can stand out online, I should say. So shout outs to Mickey and everyone else in the comments here, because that's how you do it. And that's how you get to the next level. So before we get to your hot tip, and we are getting close on time, but before we get to your hot tip, basically, I guess the big thing is that if someone is just starting out, and maybe you're going to get to this, so you can obviously hold off if you're getting to this, but maybe if somebody is just starting out with this whole branding thing, they watch today's episode and they're like, I got some work to do. What's their next step? And again, if you have this coming up, don't worry, you can push this off till later.
No, that's fine. It just depends on where you're at. I think you do have to start where you're at. I basically, I'll tell you, there's three components to this that we really focus on. Yeah. The first one is the customer. Yeah. That's where you have to figure out. That's so much a part of what you're doing is figuring out. Most people, they get into it, they design a logo, they do the logo, they pick their favorite color that matches the couch and all the stuff, they put everything together, and they've asked 20 of their closest friends on Facebook, in whatever Facebook group that they're in, if they like their logo or not. They go through this whole component, but like I said, they really do not think about the customer first. Well, you've got to nail that down first. You've got to deal with the customer. Yep. Then you can start working about your branding. Then you can start working about what's your brand story. What story is your company trying to tell? Is it just about you and one other person? Are you doing one-on-one work? Are you doing one-on-many work? What is it that you're pulling into your brand that's going to become a part of that? Then it's your job to tell people about what it is that your brand represents. Then is when your marketing comes in. So most people, they get involved. Like I said, they'll buy a business card, they'll do this, but they haven't done all the other work leading up to it. So yeah, will it work? Yeah, it probably will work. Would it work better had you gone through the steps? Definitely. Sure. I will tell you 1,000 times that if you figure out that stuff early on, it's going to take a lot of headaches. It's going to take a lot of where you don't have to redesign things, where you don't have to put it together. And you don't have to know everything, but you have to have a starting point.
Right.
Be able to bring people from the beginning of your brand, their first touch point, and most generally, that first touch point is going to be your logo. It's going to be on your website. It's going to be anywhere else that you do. So spend some time really thinking about that. Another tip is look at what your customers are already buying. What brands are they already attracted to? Are they Starbucks people? Do they love Starbucks? You know, do they like spas and all that kind of stuff, or would they rather be out hunting and fishing, you know, on the weekends? Look at the things that they're doing, and if they are doing those that's one of the things about figuring out what their hobbies are and where they're hanging out, and are they at soccer with the kids? What opportunities do you have to advertise with soccer with the kids? There's all sorts of things that you do. I just did a couple of ads for a car dealership about 300 miles from here that they are sponsoring some kids' sports.
Nice.
That they're going to be working in it. And we would put Porsches in their ads. All their ads have Porsches. It's a company and stuff that deals with dent and ding and that kind of stuff. We put all the high-end stuff. Well, we changed it up for doing these sponsorships for sports, because probably the moms and dads aren't there.
Right.
They're looking at maybe the trucks, or they're looking at the minivans, or they're looking at other things. So we had to change up what our product offering was going to be and how that touch point was going to affect the client. It had nothing to do with what their favorite cars were to work on, or who they were sponsored by. It all had to do with what the customer would expect from them in that environment and how they brand that. So there's a lot of things to think about, and it is hard. You know, at some point, get some help. Yeah. You know, I mean, at some point, when you can afford to, that's your next step, you know, is looking for somebody to be able to help you, to be able to say, this is where we need to go, or come up with some ideas.
Sure.
You know, and I do a lot. I did that Brand Aid challenge. I have that on my website going. If people want to talk, I've challenged myself to have 90 branding conversations in 30 days about people's brands. So we have like a 15-minute consult and stuff that doesn't cost anything to have somebody talk to you about your branding, and we can take a look at that. And then there's other steps, you know. So we have some of those things that we can offer, and stuff. The help is out there if you look for it. You can find people that you can say, hey, I need to ask this dumb question, and I don't want to do it in public on EdTV.
Yeah, definitely. And
right?
Since we're getting close on time, what's your hot tip? I want to make sure we get to that. Sorry, did the audio cut out? Okay. There you go. Yeah.
The audio cut out. You done better? Okay. All right. And I'm going to put this link in as soon as we get off here. I appreciate y'all waiting here to the very end of this. But this was something that I discovered this last week, and it's one of those aha moments that's like, why didn't we think of this? But
I love it.
I went and looked at a lot of higher end Facebook groups and things that way, and people are not doing this yet. So I'm just telling you, this is on the cusp of this. If you go on my website, I did a sample of it on facebook.com/thebrandchampion. You guys can go there when we get done here. Yep. And like I said, we'll put a link in. When you click on your header image that we all have, you click on your header image, you can put a description in your header image. And what we did was you put a description in there, include all the links to your social media across the board. Oh. So if I'm a big Instagram fan, I can put Instagram and put my link in there. Yeah. If I can have 4 or 5 of them through Pinterest or anything else that you're researching and you want to do, link it to your Facebook group, but put it in there where people can find you. And then in the graphic, I also included in there to click the graphic for other people, and I put the different icons that I'm using or whatever. I use Pinterest, I use Instagram. You don't have to use all of them.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the job challenge here.
Yep.
But I do Pinterest and Instagram, I do LinkedIn, I do Facebook, and then I also have a Facebook group and stuff, and a Facebook business page. So I have all of those components, but the other ones I went through, somebody mentioned, and where I figured this out the other day, as I was going through, somebody mentioned, the lady, I'm not going to be able to think of her name. She does a lot of cool kid videos and stuff that way. They mentioned, her Instagram page, you have to go there. It's awesome. Yeah. I could not find her. Because a lot of times, if you have mine isn't Tammy Fink all the way across everything. I have different names. Yep. Some people are lucky. They have odd names of their business. Right. Mine's not that way, so I did it close to whatever I could do. So it really takes some researching and find it. And I thought, why make it so hard if other people are talking about your Instagram account and they're talking about these other things, your YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. Yep. They're talking about all of that. Well, why make them go to YouTube and search for you? Why not? If that's where they're talking about you at Facebook, then give them those links, and that's some place that you can do and have it consistent. You know, you can go in and change it, and you can tell them right on that header that click here, and this will take you where you can follow me in other places. And people love that. That has just been a bomb.
Yes.
So I am so excited. Like I said, I'm really trying to see where the traffic and stuff gets generated from that. I don't know. I looked on yours. Ann, and I know you do your video on there, and I think I have not seen any videos with descriptions.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you can still do it, but that's something to kind of check out with the video because I'm not sure.
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to look at it again.
With video or not.
Tying in on that before I let you go real quick, is with the video, what's interesting, you guys, is that most people still aren't utilizing that feature on their page. So I get it all the time. When somebody new comes to my page, they automatically tell me, wow, your page is totally different than everyone else's. Like, it's got a cool vibe. Right? It's awesome. Like, and I'm telling you that because it's because of us working together to build it. But it's that video that's different that catches their attention. And to be honest, I almost took that video down, you guys, to redo, because that was just one random day where I was like, okay, I just need to shoot something. And a lot of people are like, no, I like that video. Don't take it down. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'll just keep it. And it just works.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, like I said, but that's the thing, you can take that one step further, like I said, in your branding, and if you can do the description in there and just list it. And like I said, hop over on my page, like it, love it, whatever, that way, and check that out and make sure, see what I'm talking about, that you can copy and paste and be sure you have a listing. And that comes in handy too, just to have a listing of where you exist online. Oh, besides just your website, but where, all of that. And a lot of people don't do that. They suffer through it every time they log back in and all of that, and just to be able to find, where it's like, what did we call that? Where did we put that? Start making a list of some of that stuff, and that, will keep you out of the weeds way longer. Well, I've had so much fun doing this, Ed. This has been great.
Yes, thank you so much, Tammy. Be sure to jump into the comments to share your links. Everyone, she'll share her links. You guys can hang tight. I'm going to let Tammy go and give you guys a couple more tips before I let you go as well. Tammy, thank you so much, and I'll look forward to
You're welcome.
Connecting more in the comments and hanging out more.
I love it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys, how awesome was that? So that's what we do around here. If this is your first time, that's how it goes. Real quick before I let you go, I wanted to make sure to mention, continue to hang out in the comments even after the replay or even after the show, because people are still going to comment through there, and follow up with each other, and go take a look at your Facebook header image or your website or your idea for a site. Like, let us know in the comments. It doesn't have to be right now. It doesn't have to be tonight or tomorrow, but make a note in your calendar to come back to this episode and to let us know what's one thing that you did. What I want you to take action, right? We learned all this stuff. We hung out for an hour. I want you to now take one thing and go do something with it. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to go look at my video header, not right after the show because I have a lot of things still happening tonight, but I'm going to make note of it to come back to it, to look at it, to see how I can add to the description. I'm going to start looking at other things for branding wise to clean things up for myself. And like we talked about with Tammy, you can just go, let's say you're so strapped for cash and you can't afford anything. You have free resources at your fingertips. The show, you can watch the replay, make notes again, catch something new. You can go to Tammy's website. You can go to her blog. You can go to her Facebook page. There's so many things that are right there that you can start doing your research. Remember, it's all about starting. That's it. That's all you have to do is just start and make note and then see where it goes from there. So I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. I'm going to pop into the comments, and that's the after party, and try to catch up with you guys real quick. I do have a couple more meetings though tonight, so my after party might not be tonight. It might be tomorrow, but I'm going to get to them as quickly as possible. So have a fantastic night. Thanks for joining, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Take care. This episode is sponsored by Stupid Easy. Easily create, share, and sell your online courses. Discover more at stupideasy.com.